Nitrogen is an essential element for life on Earth. This video will provide an overview of the Earth's nitrogen cycle, as well as the role that nitrogen plays in animal and plant metabolism. Okay, so let's start at the beginning and talk a little bit about how this is relevant to you. 80% of the air that you breathe, in every breath you take, is comprised of nitrogen gas in the form of N2. It's important to realize, however, that the nitrogen in the air you're breathing isn't the same as the nitrogen that your body is using every day in your metabolism. Nitrogen has to be fixed before it can be biologically useful. So what does nitrogen fixation mean? Nitrogen fixation is the process by which nitrogen gas is reduced to ammonia. This process requires a huge energy investment and is only carried out by just a few microorganisms on the entire planet. It's also carried out in environments that have very little or almost no oxygen. So basically what that means is that you and most of the life on this planet can thank your lucky stars for a bunch of bacteria that live at the bottom of the ocean and other anaerobic habitats. Okay, so nitrogen fixation takes nitrogen gas and adds hydrogen ion, electrons, a whole bunch of ATP, and a whole bunch of water to form ammonia, hydrogen gas, ADP, and inorganic phosphate. Ammonia, or the ammonium ion, can be incorporated directly into biological metabolism. In addition to nitrogen gas, nitrogen is also available to biological organisms in the form of nitrate, or NO3, which is naturally present in soil and water. As compared to nitrogen gas reduction, nitrate reduction happens in a whole bunch of plants and fungi and bacteria. Basically what that means is that the oxygen atoms on nitrate have to be replaced with hydrogen so that the nitrogen is present in the form of ammonia. This can happen in two steps. In the first step, nitrate is reduced to nitrite, and in the second, nitrite is reduced to ammonia. Typically in the body, under physiological conditions, ammonia is present in its protonated form, or ammonium ion, which is NH4+. Keep in mind that the reverse of these reactions is also possible. There are some bacteria that oxidize ammonia all the way back to nitrate in a process called nitrification. There are other organisms that will convert nitrate back to nitrogen gas in a process called denitrification. All of these reactions constitute the Earth's nitrogen cycle. So let's review this really quick. First, we have nitrogen gas, which is present in the air. Second, we have nitrate, which is present in soil and water. Both nitrogen gas and nitrate can be reduced to ammonia through different biological processes and different organisms. Ammonia is typically present in the body in the form of an ammonium ion, or NH4+. Okay, so now you should have a basic understanding of the way that nitrogen appears on planet Earth. Now it's time to talk about how biological organisms incorporate it in nitrogen metabolism. Ammonia, or the ammonium ion, is actually quite toxic to the body. It has to be incorporated into other organic molecules so that it doesn't poison us. When we talk about nitrogen metabolism, we're basically talking about all of the different ways that ammonium is incorporated, used, and eventually disposed of. I'm going to do a brief overview of those three concepts to give you a general idea of what's going on. The essence of ammonium incorporation is the idea that you take a free ammonium ion and you attach it to an organic molecule, typically a bicarbonate, a alpha keto acid, or an amino acid. After the ammonium ion has been incorporated and becomes an amino group, it can be transferred between all sorts of different types of organic molecules in a whole variety of pathways. So the next thing to think about is, how are they being used in a cell? The two most important places where we see nitrogen being really important in biochemistry are amino acids and nucleotides. Every single amino acid has to have at least one nitrogen for its peptide bond. Some amino acids have nitrogen groups in their side chains as well. Nucleotides, as you hopefully know, have a ribose sugar ring, which is attached to either a pyrimidine or a purine base, both of which have nitrogens all over the place. So it should make sense that when we're talking about nitrogen metabolism, we're going to be talking about a lot of amino acids and nucleotides. Here are a few key reactions to keep in mind before you start looking at individual reactions. Transamination is particularly important in nitrogen metabolism. Basically, an amino group is transferred from one organic molecule to another one. Imagine that you're starting with an alpha keto acid. The alpha carbon is the first carbon after the carboxylic acid group. In an alpha keto acid, the alpha carbon has a carbonyl group. Now imagine an amino group attached to a different organic molecule. These two functional groups essentially swap places. That's an overly simplified way of thinking about it, but it can help you think about what the products of a particular transamination reaction are going to be, without memorizing the specific reaction. Other reactions you'll see you should be more familiar with, like kinase reactions, dehydrogenase reactions, and reductase reactions. Amino acids and nucleic acids are synthesized and eventually catabolized using a combination of these and other reactions. The last thing to think about is how the body gets rid of excess nitrogen. In mammals, the answer to that question is the urea cycle. Excess nitrogen enters the cycle in the form of carbamoyl phosphate and aspartate and is eventually excreted in the form of urea. That's it for this nitrogen metabolism overview. Have fun getting down to the nitrogen nitty-gritty.